Your brother is bleeding in the rain. The words escaped Maya's mouth before she could fully process what she was seeing. A raw instinct. A warning hurled into the cold silence of a phone call that suddenly felt far too expensive for her hands. She stood beneath the flickering glow of a broken alley light, her breath turning white in the midnight air. Rainwater slid through the narrow street in silver streams, carrying cigarette ash and oil toward the storm drains. At her feet, a man lay motionless against the wet pavement. He looked wrong for this place. His black coat alone probably cost more than 3 months of her rent. One sleeve was soaked dark with blood. His face was pale beneath the rain, sharp and elegant like someone who belonged behind tinted windows and guarded doors, not abandoned beside overflowing dumpsters. Maya's pulse hammered. She had only been trying to get home faster after another 14-hour shift at the diner. Her feet ached. Her uniform smelled like coffee and grease. She almost kept walking. But then the stranger moved. Just slightly. A weak breath. A trembling hand reaching toward nothing. And now a voice on the other end of the phone had gone completely silent. The silence on the phone did not sound confused. It sounded dangerous. Maya pressed the device tighter against her ear as rain tapped softly against the alley walls. Somewhere in the distance, a siren cried through the city, fading almost as quickly as it came. The man at her feet barely moved now, his breathing shallow and uneven beneath the storm. Then the voice returned. Low, controlled, ice wrapped in velvet. Where are you? No panic, no fear, just absolute authority. Maya swallowed hard and glanced around the alley. Near Mercer Street, she said quietly. Behind the old subway entrance. There's a mural of a red bird on the wall. The man on the phone listened without interrupting. She could hear faint sounds in the background. Glass clinking, soft footsteps. The distant hum of an expensive room where people spoke carefully. What is your name? He asked. Maya. Another pause. Not hesitation. Evaluation. Listen to me carefully, Maya, the voice said. Do not speak to anyone. Do not leave him alone. My people are already coming. Something cold slid down her spine. My people. Not police. Not paramedics. The unconscious stranger shifted weakly against the pavement, and Maya suddenly understood one terrifying thing. She had not stumbled onto an accident. She had stepped into someone else's war. The cars arrived 3 minutes later. Black sedans. Long, silent, and polished enough to reflect the rain like dark mirrors. They slid into the alley without urgency, but every movement carried the weight of control. Headlights washed over the brick walls before cutting off simultaneously. For one heavy second, the entire alley fell into complete silence except for the rain. Then the doors opened. 4 men stepped out. Tailored black coats. Clean shoes untouched by the puddles. Faces empty of emotion. They did not look surprised to find blood on the ground. One of them walked directly toward Maya, older than the others. Sharp gray eyes. Calm in the terrifying way armed men usually were. His gaze swept over her diner uniform, her trembling hands, the phone still pressed against her ear. Not judging. Calculating. The phone, he said quietly. Maya handed it over before realizing she had obeyed him automatically. The man slipped the device into his coat pocket while the others crouched beside the injured stranger. Their movements were fast and practiced. One checked the wound. Another scanned the rooftops. A third unfolded a compact stretcher from the trunk like this had been rehearsed 100 times before. Nobody asked questions. Nobody explained anything. The older man finally looked at Maya again. Mr. Voss appreciates your cooperation, he said. Then his eyes hardened slightly. But from this moment forward, you saw nothing tonight. The sedans disappeared into the rain as quickly as they had arrived. And just like that, Maya was alone again. The alley felt smaller now, colder, like the air itself had witnessed something it was never supposed to see. Rainwater continued washing across the pavement where the wounded man had been lying only moments earlier, erasing the last physical trace that he had ever been there. But the feeling remained. Heavy, unfinished. Maya wrapped her thin jacket tighter around herself and started the long walk home. Her sneakers splashed through puddles as the city moved around her in perfect indifference. Neon signs buzzed overhead. Taxis drifted through wet intersections. Somewhere nearby, laughter spilled from a crowded bar. Normal life. It felt unreal. Her apartment sat on the 4th floor of a narrow building above a closed laundromat. The hallway smelled faintly of bleach and old pipes. Inside, the room was tiny but spotless, every object carefully placed as if order could somehow make the loneliness smaller. Maya dropped her keys onto the counter and stood silently in the dark. Then she noticed it. A small black business card tucked inside her coat pocket. No logo, no address, just two words pressed into the center in silver lettering. Elias Ward. And beneath it, a phone number. Nothing else. Maya barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the stranger's blood mixing with rainwater beneath the alley light. She heard the voice on the phone again. Calm. Controlled. The kind of voice that never needed to raise itself to be obeyed. By morning, the business card was still sitting on her kitchen table beside an untouched cup of coffee. Elias Ward. The name felt important. Dangerously important. She considered throwing the card away before leaving for work. Forgetting the entire night ever happened. But something stopped her every time her fingers reached for it. Curiosity. Or maybe instinct. The diner was loud that afternoon. Plates clattered endlessly. Customers complained about cold fries and missing orders. Maya moved through the chaos automatically, balancing trays and forcing tired smiles across her face. But her mind stayed somewhere else. Every time the front door opened, her chest tightened slightly. Waiting. For what? She didn't know. Then, near the end of her shift, the diner suddenly went quiet. Not completely, just enough. Conversations softened. Heads turned subtly toward the entrance. A man in a charcoal gray coat had stepped inside. Tall, precise, expensive. Rain glistened across his shoulders as his eyes scanned the room once before settling directly on her. The entire diner seemed to shrink around that stare. Then the man walked calmly toward Maya's counter. You should answer your phone, he said softly. My employer wishes to speak with you. Maya stared at him without moving. Up close, the man looked even more intimidating. Not because of his size, because of his stillness. Every movement felt measured, deliberate, like he wasted neither energy nor words. Around them, the diner slowly returned to life. Forks scraped plates again. Conversations resumed in cautious whispers. But Maya could feel people watching from the corners of their eyes. The stranger placed a sleek black phone gently on the counter between them. Not asking, expecting. Maya glanced at the screen. No caller ID. Her pulse quickened as she lifted it to her ear. Miss Maya, the familiar voice said calmly. Gabriel Voss. Even hearing his name in her mind felt heavy. I apologize for the interruption to your work, he continued. But I believe we should speak in person regarding last night. Maya swallowed. I don't think that's a good idea. A brief silence followed. Not offended. Interested. You saved my brother's life, Gabriel said quietly. That makes you important to me. The words should have sounded reassuring. Instead, they felt like a door locking behind her. I've sent Elias to bring you here safely, Gabriel continued. You will return home afterward. You have my word. Maya looked through the diner windows at the black sedan waiting outside in the rain. Every instinct told her to refuse. But another feeling whispered louder. If she walked away now, she would never learn the truth about the man from the alley. The car ride across the city was silent. Maya sat in the back seat beside dark, tinted windows while rain streamed across the glass in distorted rivers of light. Elias drove without speaking, his attention fixed calmly on the road ahead. The soft hum of the engine and the faint scent of leather made everything feel unreal, like she had stepped inside someone else's life by mistake. Outside, the city slowly changed. Cheap storefronts disappeared first, then the crowded apartment blocks. Then even the noise itself seemed to fade. Towering buildings of steel and glass rose around them like monuments to another world entirely. Private entrances, armed security, windows glowing high above the streets like distant stars. The sedan finally descended into an underground garage beneath a massive black tower. No signs, no visible security guards. Yet Maya instantly felt watched. Elias stepped out first and opened her door without a word. Together they crossed the silent garage toward a private elevator waiting with its doors already open. No buttons inside, only a scanner. Elias pressed his thumb against the glass panel. The elevator began rising immediately. Higher, higher. Maya's stomach tightened with every floor. Then the doors opened into a vast penthouse wrapped in floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. And standing alone beside the glass, hands folded behind his back, was the man from the phone. Gabriel Voss.